Hey, what's going on, Uncle Mike?
Hey, Nicky Nick, how's it going?
Yeah, we got hammered by snow. We got like 3 feet.
Yeah, you got it too. It's, I don't know, 4 degrees here. I'm just sitting out here on my porch, fantasizing about the better weather coming and places like Iguanaland.
I'd love to be down there too.
Have you ever been there, Nick?
Yeah. I've been there like 3 times now.
You have. Please tell me about it.
Oh, it's beautiful, Uncle Mike. Rows and rows of cages, monitors, iguanas, everything. You name it, he has it. Happy to help. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Ah, thank you, Nicky Nick. I needed that. Back under my rock. But we have with us Ty Park, the owner of Iguanaland and so many other. I've known Ty for a long, long time. So many other conservation efforts and educational stuff. And he's a great man for our community, and he's doing great things over at Iguanaland. And he's been a personal friend of mine for a while, and Nicky Nick.
Yep.
So today we have Ty Park.
Yeah. Ty, I just want to say this to start. You're you know this already. We've had this talk before, but you're someone I've looked up to since I was a kid. So it's an honor to get you on the podcast and honored to be a friend of yours.
Dang, we're gonna have to end it right there then.
Well, I was going to say,
we don't want anything more negative stuff. So
he said he,
thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. As you know,
yeah,
you guys, I consider you guys close friends. Nick, Mike and are end of our life kind of thing. But honestly say, you're one of those young people coming up that I really think they're gonna do great things in the future. It's not like you haven't done enough already, but
sky's the limit for Nick.
More than you know. More than you know from both of you.
Thank you. You know what's funny is so Nick, he's a young man, and I was doing a lot of stuff when I was a young man like Nick too, but I was doing a lot of other stuff that kept me from really excelling. So I think when I was 48, I got my life together. And he's got it together now. So like I said, first time I met Nick, we were friends on the computer a little bit. And then I met him at one of the shows, and I didn't know how tall the guy was. You know me, I'm like 4 foot nothing. So I seen him, and he had that look in his eye, and I'm like, hey, come here, Nick. And I had to wait on the curb because I didn't want to stand in the street with him because I would have been too short. So I waited on the curb and we shook hands. So
that was a great show.
Yeah.
The first time I met Ty was at the first Iguana Fest.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I was trying to find the shirt, but I couldn't find it. So
now, was that when the Iguanaland that exists now, or when it was your breeding facility?
Still a breeding facility, right, Ty?
Yeah, it was breeding facility. I bought this place in 2007. So literally, it's been in 3 months, it'll be 19 years here. Yeah. I purchased a plant nursery that went out of business. It's 12 acres. I was lucky enough to or blessed enough to, um, um, I should say, financially be able to do this. Um, I don't know if you guys know this or not. It's not. I'm not shameful about it. I supplied PetSmart for 21 years. Um, I was one of the first one to really try to change them as much as I can. When they came to me, I believe they gave me 60 stores to start with at the beginning, right? And I thought about it a lot, because they had bad reputation, and they still have, bad reputation kind of thing.
Yep.
So I thought about it a lot, but at the end of the day, I told myself, you know what? I want to help them. You know, back then, what, 25 years, and it's been 25 years now when I first started with them. Um, they had this habitat um, with, I think it was 3 levels of cages, and then underneath that, they had a little heater with a blower.
Wow.
So what they were doing was literally blowing hot air through the habitat. It's almost like desiccating them. It's like
Right.
drying them up, like a hairdress
Like
dryer.
Yeah.
So I think I did make a little difference in helping them do better.
Yep.
Ultimately, that's what I really wanted to do. And company like PetSmart move slow. If they're gonna change the habitat to 1,000 stores, that's gonna cost them millions of dollars, right? So I will come out with these ideas to do things better and stuff. But it might take 5 years before they could institute it.
Yeah.
But having said that, at one time I supplied about 60% of their stores. Um, but eventually I got to a point where it was my heart was getting heavier because um, in order for me to supply them with the right animals at the right price, um, it's you have to put the breeders in a smaller enclosure than I wanted to,
Yeah.
right? Leopard geckos and bearded dragons, I was breeding, thousands of them. I still have those buildings with me. I would get 10,000 ball pythons at the beginning from Africa, and then they have to last a year.
Yep.
So at the beginning we make money, at the end we lose money because we have to take care of them for a year.
Yeah.
But having said that, so one of the reasons why I bought this place down here, other than work with rock iguanas and stuff, was I wanted to come up with some animals that I could do ethically. That got me into spiny tail iguanas, right? Because I knew I could do them in large outdoor enclosures in Florida.
Yep.
And so I wanted to come out with some species that I could do it ethically.
Yep.
And supply them and still be able to supply them. But unfortunately, the my dream of doing that did not really work out because, as you know, bearded dragon, you could get 4, 5, even 6 clutches out of them, right?
Yep.
And leopard gecko, you could get a lot of eggs in a small space and a lot of babies. But with spiny tail iguana, you could only breed them once a year.
Yep.
Right? You can't mark the collect them and stuff. So eventually, I decided that it was a mutual decision that I wasn't gonna supply them anymore, and I wanted to go more toward doing conservation work and doing more of education.
Yep.
And so that's what happened. Once that happened, I started dreaming about building the zoo. And so that's kind of like in a quick way, and it's my life for the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I right now, I love producing animals and I love working with diverse, different species and stuff. I think I'm at 112 species that we kept to bred here in Iguanaland, and personally myself.
That's
But right now, my focus is not on producing animals, although I still produce a lot of lizards and tortoises.
Yep.
My focus right now is making sure the Iguanaland get on its solid footing, because I want this place to last 100+ years. Keep doing the educational stuff, support research. I had PhD students do his PhD study here and got his PhD. And I have, veterinarian student come all the way from Australia, stay for a couple months. And I want to do more things with the local university, support their research. And then, of course, ultimately, I want the money go to conservation work. So,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
it's been a full life.
Yeah.
yes, all of that stuff that you do, Ty, it's very selfless, and we can all see where your focus is, and it's on the animals, which it's so huge. We all want to be part of helping our animals, and along with helping your animals, there's a lot of lawmakers and stuff out there that don't want us to have this stuff, and they come up with these bogus laws, and
Right.
like they don't understand, like, for people like us, it's more than just a pet. We are trying to produce these species in captivity so you don't take them from the wild.
Exactly.
In our own way, that kind of adds to conservation work. If we produce enough animals, like my togies, for example,
Right.
That's a very rare lizard. If we could produce enough in captivity, you could leave them alone in the wild. And that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I'm totally behind that. But look at this, Mike. 30 years ago, how many animals that we saw in our hobby be captive bred? Most of them were wild caught animals.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now I'm going to throw this number out there. Probably 80-90% of what we keep are captive bred.
Absolutely.
And
that just goes to show you how important. I don't know how you go with the hobby, the industry, the pet trade, the business, whatever. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Like, some people take offense when you say the industry. Some people take offense when you say the hobby. So
yeah.
I guess from my standpoint, I think of it as like an industry, because I have a goal. I have a goal to help wild collecting of certain species that I work with anyways. And that's more than a hobby. But I do enjoy it. So it is my hobby, but to think all these years later that I'm actually contributing to something. I mean, if you knew my life, you'd be, I guess, impressed, I would think. But, so like for you, when you have PhD students, veterinarian students, herpetologist students, that's got to be an amazing feeling to know how much you're doing for our industry.
Well, Mike, thank you for that, but I don't think of it that way. I just want to help people, and whenever I get the chance to help somebody, I jump on it. A lot of ideas that didn't come from me; it come from other people. Like I've been blessed with all my life. I mean, having said that, I worked hard. Right out of college, I opened up my first pet store. Because that's what I always wanted to do. And if my dad was alive, I would be a doctor. Because as an Asian boy growing up, I have a lot of doctors in my family and stuff. And my dad said, "You're gonna go to medical school." That's what I do. I went to. A matter of fact, I was a pre-med the freshman year in college. But I always wanted to work with animals. My dream was to be a zoo director all my life growing up, right? So, unfortunately, my dad died when I was in sophomore in college.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he died very young. He was 55. He's an organic chemist professor, and back then, I could go into his lab, and they didn't have protections. They had fume hood, right?
Right.
And they would be working with carcinogenic compounds under a fume hood.
Yeah.
I remember going into the lab in the basement, and he had tilapia, doing research on tilapias and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so after he passed, um, I changed my major to zoology.
Yep.
From pre-med, because that's what I wanted to do.
Well,
And without my father, I could, my mother, I could, you know, she wasn't happy, but I could, I was okay with that. But
Right.
when my dad told you something, as an Asian boy, I just grew up that way. I mean, there's a saying: if your father tell you to die, you gotta at least act like you're dying.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, I was going to say, Ty, and I don't know, but I'm just putting it out there. I would imagine, although you veered away from what your father wanted you to do, I'm sure if he could see you right now, and I know he's looking down on you, he's got to be very, very proud of what you decided to do with your life.
I think you're right. I believe that, and I really believe that he'll be very proud of me. So yeah, I mean, so I started out with opening up my first pet store. Back then, Mike, you look at some of the pet stores that back then they still had metal frame, these leaky aquariums,
Slate bottom with the metal frame.
Yeah, grimy.
Now, let me ask you something, Ty. I know you spent some time up in the Chicagoland area here. Was your first pet store in the Chicagoland area?
Champaign-Urbana, because my dad was professor there.
Oh,
so University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana.
Okay, yeah, that was too far for me to ride my bike when I was a kid, so I wouldn't be going there.
Brian was down there buying stuff from me when he first started his pet store up in Chicago.
Yeah,
Brian would come down and buy like veil chameleons and stuff like that. I was breeding, Chicago Reptile House.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Yeah, he would come down to Champaign and buy stuff from me, the stuff that I was producing. And of course, Brian was very young back then.
Yes.
Right. So yeah. Anyway, so I started with that, and I got into selling pizzas. Because university town, you sell pizza, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it was just a good opportunistic money making stuff. And this was before Domino's.
Wow.
Domino's didn't even exist back then.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was always an entrepreneur. I love working hard, but
so when did you make your move to Florida, Ty? It was 2007 when you officially moved down to Florida?
So, okay, so I was in Champaign-Urbana.
Mm-hmm.
At 40, I retired because I was a workaholic. I couldn't do both. I couldn't stay home with the kids and take care of the kids and be a father and run businesses. So I made a conscious decision to put my being a workaholic and become a dad finally.
Mm-hmm.
And but I sold my businesses, and but I knew second phase of my life I was going to work with reptiles, right? And that's exactly what I wanted to do. So this was just a temporary phase. I wanted to make sure my kids are doing well.
Yep.
And then I was going to pursue my dream of working with reptiles. So in 2006, my daughter got accepted to Northwestern University.
Mm-hmm.
And my son, I sent him to a private school in 2006. So now I was done more or less, right? So I didn't have to be there every day. I mean, before that, every day I would pick up my son and take him to soccer practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then stay there for the whole practice. I'm probably the only father who didn't miss any practice and stay there for 2 hours of practice.
You want to be out there playing. That's why.
Yeah, most people can do that because they have a job, right?
Yeah.
And I was blessed enough to do all that. And so the second year, 2006 is when I was free to do what I wanted to do. So I approached my wife, and and my wife is not an animal person. She is almost OCD about cleanliness, and you can't do that when you have reptiles. I mean, bearded dragon will poop. I don't care if it's in the basement, you gotta smell it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you
So
clean it, and 2 minutes later they do it again.
yeah, exactly. so I made a deal with her. I told her, look, I take every animal out of the house if you let me buy something in Florida, because I knew that I wanted to work with some of the animals that really need to be down in Florida. Obviously I was still supplying PetSmart, right?
Mhm.
But I was at a point where um I actually relied on my manager to run the place. It was not the best decision business wise.
I was going to say that's not an easy thing to do when you're dealing with animals and you're kind of particular about the way you do things.
Right. And by then, my facility was in Florida. So after 9/11, I had a setup in a suburb of Chicago. Okay, supplying. I had 6,000 square feet warehouse in Chicago suburb, Bloomingdale. So anyway, I was supplying them and stuff. I was breeding bearded dragons and stuff like that. And PetSmart wasn't 1,000 back then. So anyway, after 9/11, literally, though, we couldn't ship any animal, right?
Yeah.
But the FedEx was still running. So, but the regular schedule of planes were not. There was no air freight. So most of my animals that I was getting back then, other than the animals that I'm breeding, came from either California or Florida. All right, I was getting a lot of animals from Florida. So I rented a big bigger than a cargo van, like a big truck, and I drove down to Miami to get the animal because I had these orders that need to go out, but I couldn't get the animals in, and I was thinking about 2-3 weeks ahead. I wanted to. I usually buy animals like 2 weeks in advance because you got to make sure that water them and properly and stuff like that. So I went down there to strictly Two Amigos and what is his name? Oh my goodness! Unfortunately, his pet, Mike Ellard.
Okay.
Right. So unfortunately, Mike Ellard's no longer with us. So that was the last stop for me at Mike Ellard's Estero. And he put a idea in my head, and he said, "What are you doing in Chicago? You should be down here in Florida. Why
I'm
are
asking
you in
myself that
Chicago?"
question.
Right, literally,
26 degrees.
And I had 24 hours to drive by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, more and more, I'm thinking, no, he's right.
Yeah.
Why am I in Chicago? It's cold weather in a warehouse. I could do a lot more things in Florida. So and I was a good friend with Mark and Kim Bell, and they had I think 3 acres that they wanted to before that. So Mike Eller and I made an agreement where he would get the animals in, import them, and clean them up, and my crew would pick the animals out and then ship them into PetSmart. Okay, so I had 8 employees back then in Chicago, so I came up to Chicago and we agreed on a set price. So I came up to Chicago and I asked my staff, 8 people, who want to go down to Florida.
Wow.
Right? And 4 of them raised their hand. And that's the exact number I needed because we didn't have to really take care of the animals anymore.
Right.
The animals were taken care of. I mean, breeding part still we still have to do, But the wild stuff and there were a lot of wild stuff, coming in, like green and holes and water dragons, and those were not kept to bred. They were all
Right.
imported in.
Yep.
So after 9/11, I sent my crew. I built a shipping a building for shipping and stuff, and I sent both four of my employees down there. And that's what we did for about year and a half. Then Mike Eller started getting greedy. He wanted to raise prices, and so
It's a shame that everybody seems to do that. When someone's
yeah. So I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna get out of there. I'm the kind of person, very black and white. We had an agreement.
Me
It
too.
was a handshake. And if you're not gonna honor that, I'm not gonna work with you.
Yeah.
And so, and then Mark and Kim said, come into our facility. You could, rent 3 acres. You could build whatever you want, and that's what I did after that. Right. And then Mark and Kim decided that they wanted to sell their property, and I don't blame them because they got a lot of money for that property in Naples. Okay, and it was a very valuable property. So, so when that happened, and then I got really serious because even all these during all these time, I was just in Chicago, and basically I would come down once every 3 months, and it was not the best business decision because actually I wasted a lot of money those times because when you're not overseeing things like day to day, and relying on other people, like give you an example, like they wanted a RO system, right, water system,
Mhm.
and I said, well, okay, well they want it, so let's just do it. Cost me $40,000 for water system, right? And after a year, they didn't even use the damn thing. They just keep using the well water.
Yeah.
So if I were there, I would be able to see things, and I won't. I would say no, we won't be doing that.
Right.
But so I did waste a lot of money, but it was for me personally, it was the right decision because I was with my kids,
Right.
and those
Do it
times
that
that I spent with my kids are so valuable.
Yeah.
And I never regret that decision, even
Yeah,
though
nothing better.
yeah, even though business wise it didn't make sense.
Right.
So anyway, after that, both of my kids left the house, so I was able to buy actually a facility. Before that, it was always rental because I was not sure if I'm gonna be keep doing this.
Yeah.
I didn't want. I wasn't gonna commit myself big and buy something, and then you'd be stuck with it. But after my kids left the house, I decided, you know what? I want to get serious. This is second phase of my life now. I want to do something concrete about conservation work. Breeding rare stuff, and so that was 2007. And so after after I decided not to supply PetSmart anymore, I decided to build this reptile zoo. Tell you the truth, I never wanted to be this big. I just wanted to be something just small, comfortable, keep breeding it, animal
Well, you
stuff.
screwed
But
that up, Ty.
yeah, that's my personality. That's the problem. So once I started doing it, I wanted the best.
Yeah.
I wanted to be number one.
Yeah.
And I
think
could just
you're
never
number one,
just
right,
settle
Ty?
for
You have
second
the
best.
most species. You have the most species in the world in one place.
Right. 260 species. And, I got 128 vivarium that ZooMed donated to us now. So that's going to be my next project.
Mhm.
So I'm
Oh, that's
building this
coming up
indoor
yet.
room. And they're going to be 128 small enclosures. So right now, most of my animals are outside.
Yep.
And, you can't do dart frogs. You can't
Right.
do tarantula. You can't do a delicate species like Europlaters, right? They need to be cool. You can't do axolotl. You can't do aquatic stuff too much. The aquatic lizards and stuff. So this room would do all that. So
Yeah. Well,
hopefully within the next
I know the
couple of years,
mercury.
our number might be close to 400.
Yeah, yeah. So with the new Exoterra and the cool section that you're going to create, that's not even up yet.
No, we're gonna work on that probably next week. I mean next year, this coming year, and hopefully we could get it all finished. I want to do it right. I want to hire another person to run this room, but yeah, I mean I want to have some delicate chameleons that you really can't do outside, like mountain chameleon, like Jackson chameleon, stuff like that. You really got to do it indoors, especially in Florida, right? So there are a lot of species that I can't really do in Florida. So this is my next phase, and with this room complete, I want to put like a lot of invertebrates too, not just reptiles, but I'll be doing a lot of amphibians. So I'm thinking maybe at least with this room 170 species. I mean 370 species after we're done.
Wow.
So right now we're sitting at 160 or so.
The education part, because all that stuff is, I feel like, what kids are afraid of. So if you break that, then they'll open their eyes into more stuff. Because I know me, I would not hold a spider for 20 something years until actually Brian Barczyk put a tarantula in my hand. That's what broke the mold, and I was 20 something when that happened. So with little kids coming in, it'd be great to see them break the mold young. So
well, you see,
their eyes are more open to all the other stuff.
As far as spiders go, my mom and my dad, they were divorced, then they remarried. But when they were divorced for the first time, I think I was like 9 years old, and I wanted a Mexican red-knee tarantula, Brachypelma smithi, and my mom said, no spiders, no spiders. So I said, hey, Dad, I want one of these spiders. That next birthday, he knew my mom didn't want me to have it, so he bought it for me.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
My mom was an angel. I mean, my mom would let me have anything, but she didn't want birds, which I did have. She didn't want birds, dogs, or cats. She wanted anything enclosed, So she didn't want to, have to pick up the dog poop or whatever, clean out a cat box. So as long as it was, and it didn't take long for me to prove myself to where my mom was okay with everything I had. So
it's funny because I wanted a Pac-Man frog, and my dad said I'd like a parrot better. So he got me a parrot. Ended up not liking parrots and got a Pac-Man frog.
So then you got the parrot and the frog.
Yeah. Well,
you're slick too.
I gave the parrot to a friend and got the frog.
So Ty, here's a question that's kind of eating at me since we got you. Obviously you're passionate about all animals, reptiles, amphibians, and probably all animals. But what made you so focused on chelonias and like the iguanas?
Well, okay, so it has a lot to do with conservation work, because there's 46 species of iguanas in the world, right? And I think more than 80% are either endangered or critically endangered species. So that's something that I wanted to work with. When I first started doing the cycloras, there was only a couple guys who were doing it, right? And they were producing maybe a couple of clutches a year or something like that. And yeah, anyway, my table just not collapsed but came down. Anyway, so I wanted to work with rock iguanas because they were just fascinating to me. Okay, rhinoceros iguanas, the Cyclura Cuban iguanas, and also knew that they needed conservation work.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I knew also that I could produce these animals, but you can never send them back to their own country because the disease and stuff like that. That's not allowed. So my idea was to produce them and sell them to the pet market, or more of a collector's market back then, because you know you don't see rock iguana back then in pet stores, right?
Right.
So it's more of a collector's market. And I wanted to. So my idea was to breed them, sell them, and take the profit and help them in the wild.
Very cool.
And that's how I started with the conservation work. And I also wanted to. I mean, Chelonian. I mean, who doesn't love Chelonian? Come on, right? And I also knew that as an Asian, I had a little guilt about turtles because, you know, Chinese, Korean, they eat them.
Yeah.
You know, it's
So
part
the
of their
hillbillies in the
medicine.
South.
Yeah, it's part of their culture, right?
Yeah.
And as an Asian man, I had a little bit of, you know, um, I don't know, guilt feeling, I guess.
Field trip. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with turtle. Plus, my first reptile was turtle. My dad gave me a turtle when I was 6 years old. Back in South Korea, and that was reef turtle.
Oh, Reeves turtle. Okay, yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to ask you. That's what started
Yeah.
me off too. Was the three-toed box turtle, Triungus, whatever it is.
Yeah, you know, my youth was amazing. You know, growing up in Busan, Korea, I was surrounded by the ocean and the mountains. And after school, I could either go to the mountain or the ocean and fool around with all the critters. I would catch snakes, salamanders, fish, you name it. And you know, my dad would give me you know, a stipend or to spend money, you know, and I would go to the fish market and you know try to save these fish.
I was
You
going to
know,
say that. I knew that was
because they're in a big tub and they're all for food.
yeah.
So I would buy these animals, release them in the wild, which is stupid now looking back, because sometimes I even actually took freshwater fish and released them in the ocean.
Yeah, but your heart as a kid was in the right spot, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, my dad, my mother's side is very wealthy, so my grandfather's side, they actually lived in a castle, you know. So I used to, I mean, there was in the kitchen. There's always table with food, like you couldn't eat all of it. So I used to sneak them out and feed the you know, homeless, you know, and stuff like that. I remember things like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've always had passion for people who, I don't know. I mean, not just animals. I care about people too.
Yeah.
It shows, Ty.
Unfortunately,
knows that.
When you're compassionate towards animals, the animals really reciprocate. People do too, but not all people. So,
You know,
what I mean?
my dad told me once that if you expect something back
Yep, you're doing it for the
from
wrong reason.
gift,
Yep.
it's not a gift. It's an exchange. Okay.
Yep.
What I do when I give something to someone is a gift. I don't expect anything back. And that's been in my mentality all my life because my dad taught me that. So when I give something away, I don't expect anything back from them. And since then, I feel much better because, you know, you don't expect things from people, right?
Yep.
You just
Yep.
do it out of your heart, give it,
Now
and that's it. That's your happiness. Giving, if you could, you know, if you could find a way to be happy giving, there ain't anything better.
Right. Well, you know, with that being said, too, it's like, so I know what Nick is like me, and when, you know, people ask, why are your monitors so much money? It's like, wait a minute. The price is the price. I mean, it takes energy and food and work to produce this stuff. So, I mean, and if you think we really get, like, we make a living doing this, you know, it never balances out to where we're in the, you know, we're in the win column.
Yeah.
We're in the lose column. And when people buy from me, not only do they get what I consider top quality animals, but they get me. And not that that's anything special, but, you know, if you have questions or you're seeing something that you don't understand, I'm there for you. And
Right.
you know, I always stand behind my animals, no matter what it is.
Right.
And then it comes to the point where, like, you know, some people contact you and they're like, "Oh, yours are so much money," and I'm like, "Well, you know, like I try to tell them that you get me too, you know."
Yeah.
And then you don't hear from them, and then all of a sudden you hear from them again, and they start asking questions about coming eye or emerald tree boas, and it's like, well, you didn't buy one yet, right? Oh no, this guy had one a little cheaper. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, but you know what? I always relent and I help them anyways, even though they didn't buy my animal, because it's about the animals. It's not about
Yeah, you got to,
people,
buddy. You got
you know.
to.
Yeah, it is
Yeah, I
frustrating
mean,
though.
yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're all human, right? I mean, sure, you want them to buy from you, but ultimately, also, you just gotta say, hey, you know what? It's for the animals, and
It's
let's
for the
help them
animal.
out, right?
It's the same for me. I think most of my
Animals.
questions are just to help people. I don't deal with a lot of sales because I'm not breeding the same volume that I was, because I'm learning from people like Ty, yourself, and Mike, and I'm trying to breed things that need it instead of just
Yeah.
breeding to breed.
Yeah. You
Which
know,
is
we
thing that you have to be around for a while to like really enjoy just breeding something because you know it needs it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like, so me and Nick both, me about maybe what, 2 years ago, Nick, and you this year, we kind of hit this, I don't know if it's a conundrum or a moral dilemma, whatever you'd want to call it. But, you know, when we're producing hundreds of animals a year and years go by and you don't see a 6-foot sulfur monitor, you don't see, you know, a full grown coming eye monitor, you know, it was more so for me with the sulfurs, because, you know, that's a long lived animal. It gets very large. And
Mhm.
like all the animals that we were putting out, we weren't, you know, that obviously they're not around anymore. And
Mhm.
it's like, you know, why am I doing this? To make money? Yeah. Because we love the animals? Yeah. So the moral dilemma became, we love these animals so much and we're breeding them, which is great. However, not everybody is as dedicated to the monitor species as we are, and they fall by the wayside or they get traded here and there, and before you know it, somebody's got them in a 10-gallon tank or whatever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I
I I had to cut back on the sulfurs. Nick is just cutting back on the black dragons, and both of us are now concentrating on more of the animals that really need it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just that's the way it is. But you got to think about it positive way. Sure, you know, you created these animals, right? Without you guys, these guys don't even, and not one would exist. So let's say you had 30 of them, and 3 of them live as that's 3
Yep,
more
that's
than
true.
you know. Yeah, just look at it positive way. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, look at the sea turtles. One female probably produce, I don't know, at least 10,000 eggs maybe in a lifetime.
Yep.
You know,
2 or 3
maybe,
bacon.
yeah, less than 10 probably live to produce again, because you know that's the math.
That's the
So
odds.
you
Yeah.
just have to look at the positive side. Try to look at positive side of everything that you do, and you know, to have free heart and free mind. All right. Um, to me, that's more important than anything. You know, I mean, I'm doing things and stuff, and other people say or do things that you don't agree with. That's out of my hand. I
Yeah.
only do. I only concentrate on the things that I can do, the stuff that I can be positive for.
Yep.
And if you guys decide that breeding surfer and black dragon is not the right thing to do, okay, you guys decided that and you stop.
Right.
So, and I commend you for that, right? I mean,
Yep.
you guys make the decision. I think you guys made the right decision. But having said that, also reptile hobby or the or business is very cyclical. You
Yeah.
know, people breed this certain thing, and then 20 years later, it become popular again.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, for me, it's the journey, it's the experience, it's learning. I mean, I'm learning literally every week.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So
Why we do this, because I like to hear from other people, because I learn every podcast talking to somebody. I learn different things, and even something as simple as this, Ty, it brings you back to reality and humbles you again.
Right.
Talking to somebody like you. Talking about positivity is like it's fitting for my lifestyle right now. You got to find positivity in everything that's going on. Yeah.
Well, you know, the negativities, it's always going to be there. So, yeah, it's better to navigate through it and away from it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I have to concentrate on all the negative stuff people are saying about me, I won't even be doing this. I would just give up. I mean, look at one example where they confiscated my green iguanas after the law passed. You know, I had a choice to make. Am I going to kill them myself? Because I had almost 600 iguanas back then. All right, including the babies, because I was breeding a lot of morphs, albinos, hypos, and heterozygotes for albinos. I had literally 600 animals. Okay,
and that's after you got rid of so many, correct?
I got rid of most of them except for I think close to 70.
Okay.
Right, and half of them resale was going to come and take that weekend. All right. So, okay. So I could tell you the whole thing. So, so the FWC inspector came and I was building an indoor room so I could keep them, double door and all that rule and stuff. And I was going to keep most of them indoor. So I was setting up the cage and stuff like that. And the inspector came and he told me that this couple of things you got to do. And I'll be back in a month to check on those and I'll give you a permit or whatever. Right? Yep. FWC raided me before that 30-day was over with. I was building this indoor room, trying to do everything legally. Boom. So I either had to kill them myself, which how can you kill your pet animals? And how can you face your staff?
Yeah.
You can't.
No, you can't.
Right? So they came in, took the animals, and the newspaper, and not newspaper, all the TV station, they were all alerted, obviously. They sent me messages and saying, do you want to respond to this? Right? I couldn't, because if I did, the animal that was going to reset that weekend, they could just take those away too and kill them.
Yeah.
So I was literally.
You were handcuffed.
Yeah, I didn't want to take any risk. So I didn't even respond to any of the TV station when they wanted me to respond. I just kept my mouth shut because it was. So all these TV stations came out making me the villain. This guy walked this. These breaking rules and everything. But you know something? I sued FWC way before that, and I beat him in court. Okay, because of that, this lawyer that I beat in court was after me.
Yeah, he had it out for
you. Yeah, I had a big target on my back.
Yep.
Because 6 months after they raided me, Tom and Sam still had their iguanas.
Wow.
They still had their green iguanas.
Wow.
They didn't take it away from them.
So it was just you. He had a vendetta.
Yeah, and so, but people are gonna still talk about me as somebody break the law, and I'm proud that I did, because there's certain things that
you gotta live with yourself.
Yeah, either break the law or do the right thing. I choose the right thing.
Yeah, they can only push you so far, and I couldn't imagine euthanizing my own animals. That's just not even an option. So they didn't really give you an option.
Yeah, no idea. My staff, they cried when they took them. That they came in with the black box, and they put them, and it was 80 degrees, I think. and they threw them in this black box and put them in the back of a pickup truck. They wouldn't even last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We all cried that day.
And they claim to care about the animals. That's the crazy part.
And like,
Yeah.
so when they hauled off your animals in a hot truck, and I know you guys all were saying they're not going to make it like this. You can't.
We told them that. We fought them.
They don't care. They're putting it in the truck and they're going.
They said they're not going very far. That's the exact word.
In that Florida heat, it don't take far.
No.
Don't take much.
15 minutes, they'll be all that in that black box.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a convection oven, really. You know, it's just gathering heat.
Yeah, it was really tough. I mean, yeah, it was, you know.
So can I change the subject here and try to get on a?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that for you, Ty.
Yeah.
But let me focus on something that it might be a little more cheery. So
Okay.
I'm a fish guy. Okay.
Okay.
I'm an animal guy, but I really love fishing ponds, and you know, man, your koi pond at your place is like, I'm like, man, I just like to pitch a tent and live right there. It's so beautiful and it sounds nice.
Yep.
It's so that's very nice, and that's all your work. That's all your ideas. It's all you put that out there, and it's beautiful for the people to come and enjoy a nice, relaxing afternoon to sit by that pond and all the other animals around. So, yeah, that's what you've done for us, for the reptiles, for the industry, whatever you want to call it. Man, it's great. And, you know, I hate to say it, but there should be more guys like you, but we got Ty, so we're good.
Yeah, you know what? I'm grateful. I'm thankful that I could be able to do this. You know, at the end of the day, 100 years from now, I'll be long gone, and hopefully there'll be a little dusty photo of me in the gift shop, say founder, and have somebody with the same heart keep doing what I'm doing. Keep doing conservation education. You know what I love the most about having Iguanaland is the people who come visit me every day.
Yeah.
And for them to say things like, for some people it's life changing. They never touched a snake before. They get to touch snakes. You know, they never ever. Where are they gonna go? You know, feed a Galapagos tortoise, right?
True.
I
I
mean,
was just gonna say this.
yeah. One of the things that I've done that I think was pretty smart was to instead of making my zoo commercial, I made it agriculture.
Okay.
Now, how does that help you out?
I'm sorry?
How does that work to your benefit?
Okay, so in Florida, and I think certain other state also, when you're agriculture, there's no liability. So in other words, somebody come in here and break his leg, fell down somewhere, they can't sue me.
Gotcha.
Right? They cannot sue me because I'm an agriculture, it's a farm. You know, I'm supposed to have a goat and cow and these animals are dangerous. If you do something stupid like touch cows and stuff, you get hurt. You're protected. So I'm totally protected from being sued. It's an agritourism business.
Gotcha.
Because of that, I could do things that most zoos cannot do, because most zoos are commercial and they have these insurance risk managing insurance companies that's going to tell you cannot do certain things.
Yeah.
So they're going to tell you cannot take out this 9-foot post and you know, put them on somebody's hand. You can't do it because it's insurance, right?
Wow.
I can do a lot of things that most zoos cannot do. We could do hands-on education that most zoos cannot do.
Yep.
That's huge positive.
Now,
Another positive is because you talked about why we have so many Chelonians. It's because turtles are agriculture, aquaculture.
Okay.
So because of my turtles, I have my agriculture permit.
Gotcha.
See, so when I first started this, I was commercial, and one day the code enforcement department at Charlotte County came in and put red stickers on the cages that I was building and told me that we cannot build anymore. Okay, because the code, city code and the county code was every building, and they included building as cage as building. So
Okay.
I needed architectural drawing and engineering drawing for every cage I build.
Oh, God.
That would have literally tripled my cost.
Yeah.
And just think about having somebody coming in and an architect firm coming in and drawing,
Cages.
and then our engineering company coming in and testing for the stress, metal stress, wood stress, and
And,
it's
and
like,
I'm sure the county had a guy in mind, right? To
well,
do it.
that's the thing. County have never seen. They never seen a zoo building before. I mean, they never had this kind of thing in their code. So only thing that they could go with was building a regular house or regular commercial building, right?
Mhm.
So when I was building these turtle enclosures, they're only 3 feet tall, but they're made out of concrete block. So I had to go by their code, which means I had to do the rebars every few feet. I have to build them like building a tall building.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they're solid now.
Yeah.
They're yeah. So literally, the top portion have solid concrete on top of it. It's just like building a regular commercial building. I
Well,
built my total
Ty,
place that
I
way.
I did concrete work for 30 years here in Chicago, so I watched closely what you did over there, and yeah, those things are solid.
Yeah.
They're not getting blown
Yeah.
over. Nobody's gonna. Yeah, they're done right.
Only hurricane proof. I could leave my turtles in those enclosures and they won't blow away.
No.
But they're in this little bunker, right? And of course, things like lizards in cages, then we do have to bring them in. When we have hurricane preparation, it takes about 3 days to catch everything. And you have to label everything. You put them in pillowcases or
Yeah.
burlap sack, and then we put them in these big black, ubiquitous tub that you get from Home Depot and stuff like that. And we put them in there, and then they're going in a solid concrete room.
Right. Well, so this brings me to that is another thing that we wanted to get to with you. So you got, obviously, with the Doppler radar and things like that, you're hoping you got that 3 days to do all that prep work, to move your animals safely and blah, 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 all for maybe a 24-hour storm, and then everything goes back. So, man, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of work. We went through 2 hurricanes and a couple of tropical storms already.
Mhm.
So we're expert at it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's something that we got to do, but we don't panic.
Yep.
Last tropical storm that we had over here, I was in India, and I got people telling me, this guy is horrible because I was in India while we were having tropical storm down there. But I trust my staff. I already trained them.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Joe's good by himself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I just Joe by himself, right?
Yeah.
And we did beautifully. And the thing is, once you train them, you gotta let them do it,
Yep.
right? Or you never find out if they do it or not.
Yeah. I think
So I decided.
I don't have kids. They don't understand that sometimes you got to let go the handlebars and let them ride. And you both have done that. And that's something I'm learning now. He's only 6 months old, but I'm learning.
You got to train them right.
You just got to
and trust them.
He's got to roll over by himself.
Right, and they did amazing. I was very proud of them. Right, but I also knew that they could do it.
Yeah.
Well, you prepared them. You prepared them, and then when you were in India, that was their big test, and they passed.
Yeah.
Guess what? I was on Facebook. Some of the guys were attacking me because of it.
Oh, because you were in India?
Yeah, because I was in India and we were having a tropical storm that I left.
You know, I think the world would be a much better place if everybody would kind of stay in their own lane.
Yeah.
You know? And look, it turned out good anyways, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew it was going to be fine. Even hurricane, I knew it would have been fine because my employees are trained.
Yeah. People always have something to say, Ty. You're never going to stop that.
Because I'm never going to be here forever.
Yeah.
No,
right?
Yeah.
So, and even now, sometimes it's easier for me to just do it myself. But then I'm not training my employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So I pointed out to them and teach them how to do things instead of me doing it, because if I do it, it's easy. You know?
Yeah.
Like just like I test my employee and when I'm going for 2 weeks, I leave some, stuff in the corners and stuff that they shouldn't even be there, like a piece of garbage, just a tiny one.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I want them to be able to see those things, pick them up, because that's me. If I see little things, it bothers me.
Yeah.
I want my employees to be bothered by the same little things. That's how you become. I mean, you expect them to do 100%, and they might land at 95%, and I'll be happy with it. But if you set their standard at 90% and they become 85%,
ain't good.
It's no good.
Yeah. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Uncle Mike.
Especially when you work with the animal.
Yeah.
You gotta try to get to the perfection as much as possible.
When something's relying on you, you can't miss it. You can't skip any steps because it's relying on you to feed it or change its water or take care of it. So they need 100% of attention. No, but I get it.
The most important thing as a keeper is being able to see things.
Yep.
That's 50% of zookeeping, because if you don't see things, you don't do it.
Yep, it's true. You got to put things in your way so you remember. And I think that's a big thing with keeping animals in general. I think that you kind of have to have that eye because they can't speak to us. You have to understand that language.
Exactly. And that comes from experience more than anything. You could read all the books in the world and you start with that, but then experience, it's everything. And I've also learned things like certain species, but let's say Cyclura cornuta, rhino iguana, okay? You have to remember that most people think one way, and that is, okay, these guys are rhino iguana, therefore hotspots should be this, the humidity should be this, but they don't realize that within their population, there's a variable. Some animals like it 110, some animals in the same species like it 120, and some animals like it 130. Trust me on this.
Yeah.
Even like within humans, some like to keep their room at 65, and some like it keep their room at 80. Why is animals not any different than that?
Right, absolutely.
Right?
Well, that's why we always I guess like you're saying now, it's all animals, but with varanids, it's very important to give them enough choices for them to decide. And
right.
You're not going to mold these into what you want. You got to offer them all these choices.
That's the key.
Substrate,
right.
Yeah.
So,
and it goes to nesting too. I mean, every female's not going to nest in a nest box. One might like the nest box. One might like
exactly. And even give you an example. When I was breeding veil chameleon, and genetic has a lot to do with it. Even within species, there's a huge difference in gene. Okay, I was breeding lots of veil chameleon, and this one clutch, I had, from the same parent, right? And set up the same way. And some of them, and the same supplement and everything, some of them came down with MBD, and some of them was very healthy.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way treated, but some of them have genetic propensity to get MBD within the same species. Literally, you know, you look at some of these iguanas. I can see a lot of people keeping them, too cool, right? I mean, they don't give them enough hotspot and stuff. But guess what? Some of them actually thrive at that temperature, believe it or not.
Right.
Like I've seen people just free roam was barely a hotspot.
Yep.
And these guys, I mean, doing
I think
pretty good.
A little
so who am I to tell them, no, they're going to need 100 to 110-degree temp hotspot. And most of them do.
Yeah.
But some of them do fine with like literally 90 degrees hotspot. So I always tell people, get the animal, start out with certain carrot sheet, whatever it says between 100 and 110. Go with that, but you have to look at their behavior and make adjustments for that individual animal.
What we always try to teach here on Monitor Brains podcast, obviously it's about monitors, so it's generally our focus. Is your animals, they will talk to you. Now, of course, they're not going to say, "Hey, Uncle Mike, it's a good day."
Absolutely.
But when this is the simplest one. So when you put them in a cage and somebody calls me and says, "Hey, my monitor's always hiding underneath the water dish," I said, "Send me a picture." I already know what's going on. They send me a picture. Everything is dry, but what's underneath the water dish is the substrate is moist. I'm like, you got to adjust your humidity. Your animal is telling you that by sleeping under the water dish. So when people get in tune with animals, I don't care what kind of animal it is, and you can understand their behaviors, they're talking to you and they're saying, too dry, too wet. You know what I mean? And it just takes a little bit. I mean, we're nothing special, but you got to have an eye for it,
Mm-hmm.
So again, your animals will tell you what they need and what they like and what they don't like.
That's what you say to me all the time, Uncle Mike. Sometimes we just got to get out of our own way. Yeah. Just look at what they're doing and put everything else aside and say, "Hey, that substrate is really wet. That's why it wants to be under there." So
you create an environment. A certain area you want it more humid, certain area you want it dry. There'll be a hot spot, and then there'll be a cool area, and then animal will tell you where they want to spend the time.
Absolutely. And then when they tell you that, now maybe you could minimize.
Yeah.
Once you know what the animal wants. But I always believe it's better to give them a bunch of choices.
Right, exactly. And another thing that I've also noticed is and certain species that when we get sick as mammal, we get fever, right? Right? That's one of the protections mechanism for us. Body, when we get virus or bacteria, it raises our temperature of our body so that we could fight it.
Yeah.
Same with the reptiles. Okay, so if 90 degrees is comfortable with them, if you just give them a maximum of 90 degrees, what happens when they get sick? They need that little boost in temperature.
Yep.
Okay, so if you make therefore they're comfortable at 100, but if you make the hot spot at 110, you still have a place that's 100 degrees, right? And it might bask under 110 degrees, little less, but now you gave them that little safety.
Yeah, there's that option.
Yep.
Right. And I've observed that. I mean, obviously animals so sick they can't even bask. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about animals that at the beginning of their like a sickness, something coming up.
Yep.
A lot of them will bask more.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, they that's one thing. These are highly intelligent. These animals know life. They know how to work their life. Right. Yeah. And that's why it's important to give them the range of temperatures and humidity levels and, dark hides that aren't so dark. And they choose.
And nature, they can find these things. We have to give them everything they need. So if we don't give it to them, they're not going to get any better.
Yeah.
And then know that that's because they're the same species, the requirement might be a little different.
So
Even within species.
Ty,
look at rhino iguanas. How
Yeah.
many people are keeping them in Arizona when it's ridiculously dry and hot, right?
yeah,
And then you can look at all these breeders in Florida, which is humid. They adapt,
yeah, yeah.
right? And these rhinos in Arizona are doing great.
Yeah.
These rhinos in Florida are doing great.
Mhm.
And look at Veil chameleon, right? And I hate it when all these chameleon website and the Facebook pages.
I see you've been going
tell
through
them-
it a little bit with the chameleon people, right?
Yeah, telling them that they're from Yemen, so you gotta treat them like they're coming from Yemen. Well, guess what? They haven't been imported for, I don't know, 10 years now.
Yeah.
They don't come from Yemen anymore.
They're a
Okay,
little distant.
all the animals in the U.S. are captive bred indoors,
Well
or
adapted.
they were caught in Florida.
Yeah.
Let's copy what they're happening in Florida, not Yemen. Okay,
Right.
because these animals already adapted to condition in Florida. Multi generations of veil chameleon has been doing fantastic in Florida. They don't need that condition, ridiculous condition in Yemen to
Well,
survive.
you know, Ty, me and Nicky Nick, we kind of go through it a little bit in the veranda community with like, well, why don't you feed tilapia? Well, number one, you know, people argue. They'll say to us, you don't think they eat tilapia in the wild? I'm like, I don't know where tilapia comes from, if that comes from the Philippines. I don't know that. But I do know that when we bring them in captivity, we clean them out. We clean out all their gut flora and fauna and the bacteria and everything that helps them break things like that down. So do we give them a natural diet? Not necessarily. They're no longer in nature. They're in our captivity. So, you know, their whole, once you flush them of all their gut bacteria, and I'm not saying all of it, but you've drastically reduced all those things that help them break down a wild fish or a frog. You know what I'm saying? So
well, we're never gonna be successful at giving them what they're eating in the wild, right? And that's not a bad thing to me. But think about this. Okay, let's take human example again. Let's take Korean. Okay, generations ago, we didn't have corn, right? We only had rice to eat, right? Our ancestors. That doesn't mean that corn is not gonna give us nutrition. All right. Also, you look at some of the youth Korean kids now; they're huge.
Yeah.
Genetically, they do have tall genes, but nutritionally they didn't get that. Back then we were just eating rice and maybe little fish. Now with all these meats going in, beef, they eat a lot of beef. All these guys are big and tall and strong, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean, so let's say again, veil chameleon. They come from a very harsh area, right? And that doesn't mean that they can have a better life some other country like Florida. Matter of fact, they probably have it better in Florida than when they first they come from. So you have to think, okay, there is I should say, yeah, I mean, try to copy as much as you can the place that they came from, the food they eat, and nature, but it's not always true. The stuff that we're doing now might even be better than what they're getting in the wild, because some of these animals do come from harsh places, and we can make it easy for them. And I truly believe that we could do better in captivity for some species, not all of them, obviously, right?
Yep.
But certain species, like very hardy species like veil chameleon, panther chameleon. Those are the two chameleon species that are really captive-bred and doing well. Guess what? Because they're very adaptive and hardy species.
Yeah.
Right? All the other chameleon species, we rarely breed them because they're not as adaptive or strong.
Well, you know, and also what I've noticed in, again, the monitor community is that as far as feeding and diets and stuff, you know, and I get it. I totally get it. When people say, well, I love my animal, he loves this and he loves that. I'm like, you're loving your animal to death. These animals go through famines. They go through feasts, but they go through both. They don't always just have it good. And if you are giving it to them good, you got to really watch what kind of calories they're taking in. Because if they're taking in a heavy rodent diet and they're a fish eater, they're going to become fat. And then you got to worry about getting the fat stores off of them. And it's not easy to do in monitor lizards. So yeah, there's people can love their animals to death.
But definitely in captivity, because they have less activity and stuff. Yeah, you could obesity is a problem.
Yeah,
for sure. I know we're supposed to be talking about varanid. I don't know how much, but I could tell you we have 24 species of varanid here at Iguanaland.
Yeah.
I believe there's about 80 species of varanid in the world, something like that.
Worldwide. Yes.
Seems like
from what we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm running out of space for them, but eventually my goal is to have maybe about half of them, 40 species. I would love to get Komodo dragon, obviously, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's possible. I had 11 AGA zoos donate animals to us, because we do a lot of conservation work, and that they recognize that, and that I'm so I don't know, very proud, because of our history, all the work we've done. A lot of AGA zoos have recognized us as some organization that's doing the right thing.
Yep.
But AGA zoos don't give animals to pets.
No.
I've never even heard of it.
No, but you know what? I hate to say this, Ty. Yeah, they don't do that. But there's a lot that often call me and want me to put animals with them, which, I don't really care. I do prefer like what you do, because just all the red tape and the regulations that they have, I think with animals as high metabolism as varanids, you don't have a week to pass a diet change through the board. You got to do this quick, and they're regulated. That's all I'm trying to say, and I'm not getting on them. But since we are talking about AZA and some of the nice animals that you have, Nick, I know you're
I've been thinking about it since before this podcast. And Ty, you let me hold the animal that I'm about to ask about.
Of course, yeah.
What is it like keeping parentheses? Because I'm sure everybody watching wants to know.
Yeah, one of the things that I as a ZAA zoo now, I know I could get some certain animals from Australia that people cannot get, right? So I already have zoo contact in Australia. I just have to build cages and do it the right way. But it's not something that I want to do like this year or next year. But eventually, I would love to have more species. I would love to have some of the like great monitor, like omnivorous. Monitors. And maybe some of the desert monitor from and things like that. Some of the more rare stuff that some of the zoo have, but I don't. So, but I got so much, and I'm so glad to have 20 and 60 species. Yeah. I mean, even 24 species of varanid. Like I told you before, I never wanted to be this big, but once I started, I couldn't stop. And
once you get the bug, it just keeps going.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep going. at the end of the day, when I hear these kids running around my zoo and being happy,
Yeah.
that's what I need.
Well,
I mean,
Ty, there's another thing.
That
There's another.
moment for
Oh,
me.
go ahead. Go ahead,
That
Nick.
moment for me with the Parenti is one I've brought up so many times, and you probably didn't realize it in the moment, but man, that was a top 10 moment of my life. Was holding that Parenti.
That was a bucket list for
That was
Nick.
crazy.
Well, it'd be a bucket list for me too.
So thank you.
yeah. Now, tell you the truth, Prentice are amazing.
Yeah.
It's just number one. They're so beautiful, and their behavior. I have yet to see a Prenti. Well, I only have two, but they're both such a well-behaved
Yeah.
monitor.
Yeah.
So
the video I have of him, he crawls up my arm and just sits on my shoulders. He didn't know what it was, and I was only in there for like a minute.
So,
I mean, I'm so happy to have those things.
So Ty, are they? So they're you're kind of building up the Parenti's demeanor. So they're a little bit different than the Toji's and the turquoise monitor.
Yeah,
the Toji's and the turquoise are something else.
Yeah. Have you tried tricolor ones?
I have not yet.
I have tricolors,
but I hear they're
the
same.
I've heard. I actually seen some that was fairly tame, but the ones that I had were they were mean.
That's how mine are.
Yeah.
They are not afraid of people at all.
And I try to tell people that it's like when I describe the demeanor of my Toji's, it's not, they're not aggressive, but some animals will shy away. Toji's, there's no chance they're shying away. There's no flight in them. They're ready to fight. So beautiful animals. And how's yours doing down there, Ty?
Doing great.
Good. Yeah, I'm so happy to see that animal. But what I wanted to say was, and you should do this a little more often, because sometimes when, I'm getting old, I go to bed really early. And when you do your little walk around the zoo at night with your flashlight, man, I'm telling you,
I do it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Time to myself. Counting my blessings. I mean, a lot of times when everybody's gone, I sit by the koi pond.
Yep.
Right. And just relax. I named that whole area where I have a koi pond, but I have also like a picnic area, shade and everything. And I named it. It's kind of like a park setting, so I named it after my daughter. It's called Victoria Park now. So we have a little park within the Iguanaland kind of thing.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's very peaceful. Koi, you're right. The water. My Chilonan area where we have 13 enclosures and very naturally set up with the water running. I really enjoy that. And a lot of times you don't see the animals. Because I want to set them up that way so they could hide and stuff. But when you have 260 species, if you only see half of them, you still see more reptiles than any other place, Yeah.
So we were talking earlier about your back in the early days, your staff wanted RO, and I'm not saying at Iguanaland, but isn't the groundwater in Florida really, really good? I mean, like your well and stuff.
My well's great.
Yeah, that's what I
only
thought.
problem that I had was one of my well, they didn't drill it right, so I was getting a lot of sand. But water itself was really good. What's good about the well, using well water? First of all, I think we went about 150 feet, so it's pretty deep. It's very good artesian water. So what's so good about that is its temperature is almost constant, right?
Yeah.
In the winter time, it's 68 degrees. In the summertime, it's 70 degrees. So all my total enclosures have running well water.
Yep.
So in the summertime, it keeps them cool. In the wintertime, it keeps them warm.
Yep. Man,
more cleaning.
Yep.
And this is something that I wanted to do, and not,
Oh
most
no.
most youth don't do that. But I'm so glad that I chose to do that, because you run, I don't know, RO systems and UV lights and um and the filters and stuff and pumps.
Yep.
They break down constantly. They have to maintain this and that. I
Yep.
got a simple thing. I got well water dripping into the enclosure 24/7. Keep everything so clean. And
Now,
in the wintertime, some of the delicate species, you just turn up the water volume a little more. They're warm now.
nice. Nice. Now because you're using groundwater, well water, artesian water, uh, and again, this is human. Are they charging you somehow for that, or is it free groundwater?
Free groundwater. I mean,
Yeah.
only thing that cost me is obviously the pump,
Yeah,
electric, right? Yeah, well,
Yeah, but you
pump.
don't get a water bill.
No, I don't get the water bill.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
maintaining the well is not the easiest.
Yeah.
We also, because we don't have city water here, so pump health department keep an eye on our well. All
Yeah.
right. Every 6 months they come and test for bacteria and stuff.
Mhm.
So I know they're safe
Yes.
because it's good for human to drink.
Mhm.
Because health department they come and check every 6 months. So
So,
if it's good for human, I know.
Good for-
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no bacteria and stuff, so I don't worry about that at all.
so like I guess when you think back to the old days, a water fountain, they used to call it the bubbler, right?
Yeah, right.
Do you have those around Iguanaland that people can just drink straight, or does it
I
have
don't
to?
do that only because, well, first of all, I could sell water.
Yeah.
Number two, it's still well water.
Yeah.
And some people will, even though it's tested every 6 months,
Yeah.
some people would,
React.
we react. It's well water, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just better to have bottled
Yeah.
water.
Well, it's a safer option for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about having water fountain for
Right.
people to fill their water and stuff, but just in case, because even though they test them every 6 months, someday, sometimes they find bacteria. When they do that, we clean out the line with the Clorox and stuff. Okay, so sometimes they do find bacteria, not to a dangerous level,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But there are some bacteria also sometimes in. Yeah, and I think a couple of times we have to clean out the well system, and they have basically protocol for that. So we just pour Clorox through the line and stuff like that, and flush it out and stuff, and it's fine. But and besides that, I sell water for $1.
Yeah.
Bottled water for $1, and I one thing that I never want to do is cheat people, right? And when Home Depot are selling 16-ounce Coke for $2.50, I sell them for $2.
Yeah.
Juice was selling for $5 or $6.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Water, I'm out there constantly giving them away.
Yeah.
I'm out there in that little bucket, and hey, are you thirsty? And one of the things that I love doing is just giving water away because it gets hot out here, And
Yeah.
the thing is, people appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How much does that water cost? Nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
It's that little gesture. People will never.
Exactly. Now you get to talk to people. They're so appreciative. Little things like having a station with the bug spray and suntan lotion.
Yeah.
I don't know of any zoo who does that. I have a whole station with suntan lotion. I have umbrella when it gets too hot. So, it doesn't cost me that much to have those things, but
I need a pond to jump in full of suntan lotion, Ty.
Yeah, I mean, people
get
are
burned
totally
really quick.
shocked because nobody's doing it that way.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a little thing, little courtesy goes a long way.
Those little things set you apart. And, you know, again, maybe not everybody would think of that, but Ty, you have. So, you know, big props to you on that, and you know, looking out for people.
I have a kind of selfish question for you, Ty. And I
Okay.
think about my future. How hard was it to become AZA or your ZAA, right?
ZAA.
Your ZAA. Was that like a big process?
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about AZA and ZGA. ZAA. ZAA has gotten better and better. Okay, used to be just for, you know, zoos like roadside zoos, right?
Yep.
Their standards are very high. Trust me, because I went through it.
Yeah.
They tell you apart. The inspectors are here for 2 days. They go through everything. They go through all the records, right?
Is that annual they come or is it like every month? When do they come and check like for the 2 days?
No, actually, so once you are qualified, they don't check on you for another 6 years or something.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they don't come and check on you monthly or yearly or anything like that, right?
Gotcha.
But the good thing about ZAA is, although they might frown on it, you know, like the encounters that I do, like taking out the snake and stuff, like AZA won't let you do it.
Yeah.
You can't do any of those things, right? So ZAA are a little more lenient about things like that. But eventually, my goal is to have. A matter of fact, this week I had my attorney get another nonprofit started. Okay, it's going to be called Iguanaland Conservation Fund. So he's doing the corporation right now for that. So eventually, I would love to have a iguana conservation center, just like Total Conservancy and TSA have, you know, conservation center with the animals and everything. Because the whole world you search and there's nothing like that for iguana, right? There's International Iguana Foundation, but they don't have, you know, place that, you know, like the Total Conservancy and Total TSA has.
Yep.
And I think that makes a huge difference. So eventually, I want to have on the ground, like a iguana conservation center, because a lot of these iguanas from the islands can get in trouble. Because look at this. I mean, let's look at people worrying about because of Burmese python animal going extinct, right, in Florida. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to get to a point where they're going to be equilibrium, where animals would get adjusted to having Burmese python in their midst. Keeping like, for instance, there are definitely less like raccoons down there, right? But what's the benefit of having, as mentioned, raccoon? Now we got alligators and crocodiles thriving because you know, raccoons are notorious for raiding their nest and stuff, right? So there's a benefit. But more than that, in a dynamic system like South Florida, I don't see, because Burmese python, I don't see any species going extinct. They will adjust. But now let's go back to Ireland. All right. Let's talk about Ferdinanda Galapagos tortoise. Remember, they just found one. Remember that 2019?
Of course, right?
They thought they were extinct.
Yep.
For like 100+ years, they found one. Now that's an island system. you release raccoons or rat
It's done.
or anything like that, extinction is very possible,
Right.
right? So in a small island setup like that, extinction is very possible if you do something, introduce different species and stuff. Whereas dynamic system like Florida, I don't see that happening. So what am I getting to? A lot of these iguanas are from these small islands.
Yep.
Right? So for me, conservation of iguana is very important.
Definitely.
Yep.
That's where my heart started with reptiles was with rhinos, and it's still there. I still have my first rhino.
Right.
I still love them, but I had to pick and choose my battles, and
Of
I'll
course.
have more eventually. But right now,
Look, Nick, if everybody did the same thing, it'd be boring. So keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
So,
Right?
so Ty, I'd like to ask you, since I consider you an expert in iguanas, and a lot more, but that's where I'm going.
Experienced, not expert. I like to call myself experienced.
Well, you know what I say? I'm experienced, and my animals are the experts. I let them do what they do.
Right.
So there's the Galapagos Island land iguana. It's kind of like a sandy orange color. That is a fantastic looking lizard. Tell me a little bit about it. Is it that endangered? Can you have them? Can you have them? Tell me a little bit about those that species.
Well, first of all, how protective Galapagos is with their animal and plant. So only reason why I have Anagata iguana is because somebody smuggled them into the U.S.
Oh, you have one of those.
Zoo,
right? He has Anagata. They're different, Uncle Mike.
Oh, that's not the one that I'm talking about. Okay.
No, Anagata iguana is a totally different species. There's only about 500 to 600 in the whole world. And critically endangered species, and I have 4 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. I have.
You have males and females?
I have 2.2 I'm trying to breed. Okay. So that's more rare than Galapagos ground iguana, okay?
Okay.
Let me, truthfully, there are a lot of them on the island, okay? Let me put it in this perspective. So, there was a island called Mogeas Island. There used to be a zoo there, right? And they released, I think, either a pair of Cuban iguanas or 2 pairs or something. Now I heard that there's like literally 500 iguanas on that island, right? Cuban iguana. So let's take other smaller islands. Riley Eyes. Maybe there's 500 Riley Eyes. I don't know the number. But guess what? Maximum that island could hold is 500.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay?
Yep.
You got that? So you take 100 out of there. Within 10 years, there'll be 500 again.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
But
I see where you're going.
that, Bahama is never going to release them.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're very protective of them. So let's go. And so the Galapagos land iguana, I don't see them ever going extinct. But having said that, again, they're from islands, Yeah. So island animals have more, their risk of them becoming extinct because of what the system they are.
Because so with that being said, just in case a raccoon was introduced there, or are you talking about weather patterns as well, keeping them in jeopardy? Weather patterns.
Yeah, personally, I don't think Galapagos iguana would ever go extinct. Weather-wise, they've been. I don't think 5 degrees temperature increase is gonna kill them.
I was thinking more like storm, like a severe storm.
I don't think that's gonna do it either because they hunker down really well.
Yeah,
I mean they're used to the hurricane. Hurricane's never gonna destroy them. You know,
because they
they've
know
been
what
on
to
these
do.
islands for millennia, right? Thousands and thousands of years, and they know when the hurricane comes, they just go underground or hide under rocks and stuff. And yeah, they're fine. So I think most of the species that come from a large island should be okay.
Yeah.
Like Grand Cayman Island should be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to be only like, I don't know, 12 to 25, but now they're 1,000 there. So the
Right.
conservation effort has value. I know on Anegada, they're also doing conservation work there. Has starting babies and stuff. And Jamaican iguana, everybody knows the stories about that. They thought they were extinct until some hunting dog found one and brought him in his mouth, and that they realized it wasn't extinct. From that point on, we did conservation work on them, and now numbers are very stable. They raise the babies until they're, I think, 2-3 years old. They're large enough that the rats and mongoose can't really do too much damage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the education and stuff is important, and also you got to be realistic. Some of these animals are even though they're a critically endangered species and there's only 500 in the world, that's their capacity because of their, you know.
What you're saying about if you take 100 off, you give them a few years, they'll be back to 500. It's just like with it. I mean, I've been doing this particular technique since I was a kid. So I collect all my lumber, not my lumber. I collect all my branches and wood and decorations from outside. Yep. And when you bring that stuff in, especially up here, in Chicagoland area, come the fall, you get your leaves and you put them in your enclosures, and you're bringing in slugs, millipedes, springtails, all kinds of cleanup crews. So, people used to say to me, "Oh, aren't you worried that they're going to overtake your house?" It's like, at first, before I realized better, I thought maybe there'd be a possibility. However, when you bring in so many, and you have a pair of lizards in there, well, they start to die off because there's not enough food for the whole ecosystem. And then, like you're saying with the iguanas, they kind of balance out, and it becomes a perpetual. So you got some dying off, some being born, and they never outgrow the capacity what your lizards food, like their poop and uneaten food. So there's no need for that, and that makes a lot of sense with what you said on the iguanas.
Yeah, I mean,
they can hit the ceiling. They can only go so far.
Right. Because some of these islands are real small.
Yeah.
Right. So, but these small islands, if you throw some rats and the predators in there, that is totally decimating.
Right.
So we do have to be careful about, So yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, we talk about a lot of iguanas and stuff. You guys have any monitor questions to this monitor stuff?
One more iguana for you. In recent years, I mean, of course, dude, we're reptile addicts. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody knows the marine iguana. However, in the last few years, I don't know if it's AI or what, but there was in a private collection, supposedly a guy had a marine iguana. I don't know if it lived. You know anything about that, Ty? Or I mean, I would imagine a habitat for something like that would have to be unreal to grow the algae and everything, wave cycles.
Right. Yeah, sure. I know the guy.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, and he's known smuggler. So I don't support him. So yeah, I mean, he does believe. I still think that he still breed them, and I think some of them did go to certain Jews in Europe, I believe.
Wow.
I know when I went to Vantara, they had they didn't have the marine iguana, but they had the ground iguana.
You've been to
The
Ventara?
Galapagos ground iguana, because I know there isn't any in the USA. But India, they had, I believe I counted 6 they had, and they came from zoo in one of the one of the European countries.
Gotcha.
Okay, so do I know their lineage? No. Probably most likely they were from babies from maybe 2-3 generations of smuggled animals.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know that. But you know, look at the reptile business like 50 years ago. Smuggling was so common back then. You know, I mean, there was no. It was like Wild West back then, right? It literally 60, 70 years ago. Are we benefiting from that? Of course we are. I mean, bearded dragons, come on. I mean, they were smuggled animals in. Probably most of the Australian species was from smuggled animals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and you know, I'm not gonna make judgment. I personally would never do it. But other people who have done it, do I have some friends who've done it, and they're not doing it anymore? Obviously,
right.
Am I still friends with them? Yes, I'm not. You know, because they're friends.
I got you.
And one of the things that I know as being a friend is when you feel like they've done something wrong, you don't get rid of them. You get closer to them so that you could change them. You know what I'm saying? With your behavior. That's the friend. That's the right thing to do. All right? Anybody could just abandon them. But once your friend has done something wrong, I'm not talking about murder or, you know,
I got you.
You know, sleeping with kids. I can't remember what the name for that is, but yeah, that will be hard for me to.
You're not going to get behind a pedophilia,
right? But things like this, I rather stay friend and try to influence them the other way instead of saying you're no good. I don't want to deal with you anymore. That's been my thing for a while now. So I do have, you know, friends who have, you know, smuggled animals in, and they won't do it again, but they have the history. And you know,
deep down, they had such a love for the animal that they wanted to take it. So the love is there. So there's something to still work with there.
But I with the whole, I'm sorry, Nick, the whole thing with the marine iguana to me was the specialized diet, the coldness of the water, the you know, the surges, like, so in captivity, that's, I mean, you could grow that algae. You know, of course, we could make wave makers and this and that, or do they not even miss that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you go to Asian market, you could buy dry algae.
Okay.
Right? Like, you know, you go to Japanese restaurant, you got, you know, the sushi has the algae roll, right?
Right.
So you could use those as food too.
Okay, so they're not really specific to that algae that grows on the rocks in the Galapagos. It's just in algae. Right.
Yeah, you could make substitute for food for sure.
Okay, I wasn't sure how specialized they were.
No, he kept to breed them too, so he must be doing something right. I mean, yeah, they did breed them and stuff. You know, I don't condone that. I don't think it needs to be done. I think it needs to be done properly, and you know, try to convince the government, you know, to do it legally.
Yeah,
I believe that. Yeah, I mean.
So we're getting long here, and you had asked about this is a Veranded podcast, so I wanted to say to you, congratulations on your latest clutch of Sambawas, was it?
Yeah, Sambawa, I think we produced, I still have some eggs in the incubator. I think that this is the third clutch. Obviously think about Aki, those are easy.
Yeah.
We just produced the, what is it, the,
Argus, right?
I'm sorry?
Argus?
Yeah, Argus monitor, that's right. We've always produced Yellowhead, right?
Yeah.
But again, and we're probably trying to produce tree monitors now, and obviously you guys know about us and trying to produce the crack monitors.
Yeah.
We just got 2 female from Nashville Zoo on breeding loan. So I wasn't really concentrating on breeding monitor lizard per se.
Yeah.
But my head keeper Zoe is very keen on it, so I kind of want him to do it. And I was one of the projects that I wanna work on maybe 2-3 years down the line. I want to have all the tree monitor species at my facility. Right now, I have the common ones, the black, blue, and the green. So there are a lot of species. Like I said, I told you before, I want to probably have about half of the species of, just a number to throw out of the Varanid, and I think I'd be very happy with that. Right now we have 140 species of Chelonian, and I believe there's about 360 plus Chelonian species in the world. So if I had about 180 species of Chelonian, I'd be happy. What I need to add is probably another 40 species, and I'm already there,
Yeah.
So one of the things why I have so many different species is you go to one place and you look at the diversity of the animals. Like I have most of the map turtles now, and I have them all on the row, and you can see all the different type of map turtles. Some of them have huge head because they're eating, like the clams and stuff like that. So you could, and like for instance, pancake turtles versus radiator turtles. We actually explain to them why one is flat and one is domed. So to have diversity in the way they look, more than genetic, people, it makes sense to people when they see it side by side.
Well, and if you didn't have the diversity, you couldn't show the differences and what differences are. So again, I don't mean to interrupt you, Ty, but how you doing with the Mertens? Are the Mertens doing anything for you yet?
I'm saying the what?
The Mertens monitors.
What monitor? I'm sorry.
The Mertensi, the Mertens.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, they really haven't done anything. I think, again, I'm not really keen into breeding animal monitors, but maybe next year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, they're outside now. We kept them indoors.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Because we just didn't have. They were too small for the cages outside. Most of our cages have 1-inch screen.
Yeah. So they
can. And Merton had pretty small head.
Yeah.
So I wasn't comfortable bringing them outside. Now I think
they gotta be
less than a year ago. We bought them outside with the water and everything else. So
they're
doing naturally.
They're going to do better for you outside, of course.
Yeah, but we do bring them in when it's cold.
Yeah. But
I got a monitor question for you, Ty.
Yeah, there you go, Nick.
I know with all the rhino iguanas, you have nest boxes. With all your monitors, are they just nesting in the ground, or you have nest boxes for them too?
Okay, so nest box. You're not talking about the heated box. You're talking about nest box.
Your Argus,
yeah,
where they lay in the eggs.
So most of them we have them lay. Well, no, I take that back. Not most of them. yellowhead, the coming eye, the enclosure have deep enough, soil that she lay in there. But like the Argus monitor, we have some enclosures built for egg laying. It's called egg laying enclosure with deep, like I think maybe 18 inches of dirt.
Okay.
All right, and it's labeled as and it's in kind of like in public because I want people to see them laying and stuff too. So I have a specific cage made for animal laying.
That's cool.
So Argus monitor went in there, laid in there.
That's cool. I was asking mostly because I think of the substrate by you. It's like mostly a sandy dirt mix. So you have like the perfect substrate for these monitors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally. You know, you also talked about, you know, getting sticks and leaves from the wild. I do the same thing. I used to worry about it as a beginner. You know, am I gonna put this in the oven and stuff? But after a while, I've been doing it for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, and it had
it worked.
Never gave me any problem. Yeah. And so we cut down trees and stuff and throw them in the cage, and it's fine.
Yeah, we do the same.
Yeah.
No,
there might even be some benefit from the bacteria because you know a lot of people talk about bacteria as being bad, but there's good bacteria too.
Yeah. Well, you know something, Ty? In all the years that I've been keeping and breeding Varanids, I can't remember going into a cage and have to clean up poop, other than the water monitors who poop in the water.
Yeah.
You know, that's just changing the water. But like, I'll see them poop on the ground and the lights go off. The lights come on in the morning. The cleanup crew, they all run and hide, and the poop is gone. So it's very beneficial, like you said.
Yeah, especially Florida. I mean, outdoor cage.
Yeah, here's
and
another.
You don't have to do any cleaning. We don't do any cleaning. Literally, only thing that we do is we got to keep trimming the plants because they grow so quickly with the fertilizer. You know, they poop. That's fertilizer, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we literally constantly pruning plants and stuff. But yeah, the poop just disappeared because we got all the biological like earthworms under there. The animal, the insect come out at night to eat most of the stuff. It's gone.
Now, do you remember a fella or a couple, Charles and Marilyn Abbott? They were in Central Florida. So
I don't remember.
And they were big time Shalonian people. That's why I thought for sure you'd know them. But they had a farm in Cocoa, and I had my pet shop in Merritt Island, Florida. And I used to go to them to buy reptiles for my shop. And when I first moved there, my oldest daughter, who's now 37, she was, 2 or 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I bring her there, and I just remember, it's like one of the first times I was there. I remember seeing, I had to walk from their house to their little barn in the backyard, and just a manicured lawn. And I'm looking at animals, and my daughter Savannah says, "Hey, Dad, I want to go play in the sand." And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." And I didn't think nothing of it. But then I'm looking at animals, and I'm thinking, there's no sand. It was all green grass. Where is she? So I went out there, and there was this ant mound, and she had leotards on, but she pulled it over her legs. And I was like, oh my God. Because she had the leotards on, she didn't get stung. But it was a fire ant mound. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that, Ty, at your facility?
It's tough. I mean, we have 12 acres.
Yeah.
So, obviously we're always out there, and if you find one, we just spray.
You spray it, and they go.
We used to have like a little pellet that we drop and stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't as effective. So we have I can't remember what we use for pesticide. So obviously not around the animals. Obviously, I'm talking about the walks and stuff like that. So we see them, we just spray them. If it is in one of the enclosures, what we do is we do put the pellets in there and we cover them with a mulch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you're just
So
kind of
it's
driving
a
them all away.
constant problem. Especially after rain, they pop up everywhere. We just have to manage it, and nothing else we can do. You know, we're looking for 'em, especially after rain.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your you know, even though they can't sue us, you still don't want them to get stung. You know,
Right,
our
right.
guests, obviously,
Well,
right?
it's not pleasant. I
No,
mean,
it's not.
you know, you
But-
get the little pustules, and it's just not pleasant.
Man, I get stung at least half a dozen times every year.
Wow.
Right?
I didn't realize
But
it was that bad. I never knew that.
Oh, they're
I'm
bad.
one of those guys who don't look. I just do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I be working and stuff, and then there'll be ant all over me because I forgot to check. I always gotta check, you know. So
And they're sneaky too. They'll wait till there's a whole bunch of them on you before they send out that alert to bite. You know.
Literally, it doesn't even bother me anymore when they bite me. I think I'm just almost immune to it.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it was I was itching, you know, for a long time. Now I get bit, it's like 5 minutes later, I'm normal.
That's crazy. I've been that way. I've been that way my whole life. I've been playing in the ponds and, you know, catching whatever. And I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I was at my in-laws' farm and I was moving some stuff around in their barn. And this ground bee, this bee, it didn't come up no higher than like my knees. And it was a very small bee. And it stung me on the back of my calf. And me and my son Angelino were in the barn. We were doing some work, 98-degree day. It was hot and humid. And so we went to the log pile and we were going to get logs for some of my enclosures. And man, I started getting this like tingly right here. And I woke up in the back of an ambulance. I stopped breathing.
Wow.
Over the years, I've become allergic to bee venom. So
wow.
I guess
again, I got stung by wasp at least probably 3-4 times a year. Now it used to hurt like crazy, but looks like within a day or two, I'm fine.
Yeah, no, you don't have no EpiPen. You don't have to have an
No, we do have EpiPen in the office for just in case, but I never had any problem. I mean, I almost feel like I've developed like
an immunity.
Immunity to it. Yeah.
That could be. You get stung in small enough, you know how it goes.
Right. Yeah.
Very well.
Also things like salmonella. I mean, I might have caught it without me knowing about it, but I never got sick from handling reptiles.
Right. And me either. But and it's really weird because like most of the stuff I've been playing with for the last 30, 40 years has been a lot of wild caught Indonesian and that kind of stuff. And I'm deparasitizing animals and I often wonder if I maybe sometimes I get this little weird feeling like I don't want to be too gross here, but you wonder if you got any parasites in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotta pull out my charger, guys.
Well,
it's been 2 hours.
It's been 2 hours. I know, and I just wanted to say, Ty, it's 8 o'clock here, so it's about an hour past my bedtime. But Ty, again, thank you so much for giving us your time. We appreciate it. You're a huge figure in our world, and we appreciate you and all that you do.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the invitation. Thanks for all the kind words. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm not gonna worry about other people saying whatever this or that. I know where my focus is, and family, friends, and reptiles.
And
thank you for being a huge, like I said before, huge motivator in my reptile career, Ty.
Nick, absolutely. I have high hopes for you, buddy.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you. I hope I fulfill them. I hope I fulfill
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. I have a lot of confidence in you too.
and not that it has to be said, but anybody, you can find Ty on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff at Ty Park or Iguanaland. Anywhere else that you want people to look you up at, or is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I have Instagram, Facebook. That's what I do. I do have a YouTube, but I really not very active at it. One day I probably have to maybe hire a social media person. I've tried a couple times and it didn't work out. So I'm kind of, I tried a couple times, but it just never didn't work out, maybe because I'm too picky. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like if you ever are looking for a guy, I have a suggestion for you. If you don't already know the guy, Mason Barnes, Mason Barnes.
I heard of him.
Yeah, he's a what would you call an influencer, but he's really kind of shifted away from himself, trying to do like he would love to have a Iguanaland, I'm sure.
Definitely love.
But I have a lot of people approaching me with that, but it seemed like if it's not living here or here on the facility, how's it gonna work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, he's a young guy. He's a young guy. He might pick up and go down by you. I don't know.
He moved from California to Arizona to Tennessee, so he might move to Florida.
Yeah, that might be his last stop. But again, Ty, thank you so much for your time and coming on here. We love you. We appreciate you. Everybody, Ty Parks.
We love you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the invitation.
No problem. I'll see you at Tinley, right?
I'm hoping, I don't plan things anymore because I got so much going on.
Well, you know what? Nicky Nick, I'm not much of a traveler. He's trying to get me to go down to Daytona, and if we do, we're definitely coming by.
You haven't been to Daytona yet?
I've been to Daytona when it was Orlando, so I haven't been there in a long time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay, got it. Yeah, it must have been a long time then.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. Well, if you come, let me know, and I usually make Daytona.
Yeah.
But some years I missed that too. So.
Well, if we're down there for Daytona, we're coming to see you. So.
You better.
and just so I can get my pennies all in line, how much is the admission fee for a guy like me?
Double.
I knew he was going to say that.
Beautiful. Yep, I knew you were going to say that too. Yeah.
I would.
You come in anytime you want.
I got you.
I might even give you free water.
Free water? Nice. I appreciate you. All right, guys. This has been a great episode. 2 hours and 15 minutes.
I know.
So
we could probably talk another 2 hours, but we got.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. So we're going to get Ty Park 2.0 down the road a little bit. We'll let you get some rest, and we'll call you for the next one. Thank you, Ty.
Sounds good.
It was great.
Bye, Nick. Bye, Mike.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.